Obey, naturally.
Obey what?
The Constitution.
And the law.
That's right.
The commission comes to Las Vegas the next year, holding hearings in a courthouse that still stands across the street from the mayor's office.
They wanted to make reputations on our bones, and they came out here and, of course, held these very dramatic hearings. They were on TV and publicized cover of Time magazine, and ended up with a zero, I mean, as far as putting gambling out of business.
Instead, gambling gets even grander. In the 1950s, the Tropicana, the Stardust, and the Sands all open for business. It's Las Vegas that's the hit now, and people flock here from all across America to experience it.
Those were the halcyon days of Sin City, when Las Vegas was the one place in buttoned-down mid-century America where you could be yourself, where you could shed whoever you were and just cut loose.
By the start of the 1960s, the mob searches for new money to fund its projects. It finds a partner in Teamsters president Jimmy Hoffa, who uses a pension fund to help spark another building spree.
And the Teamsters Central States Pension Fund becomes a funnel for money to a bank in Las Vegas that owns the casinos and begins to build places like the Aladdin and Caesar's Palace and Circus and other places like that.
Vegas is glitzier than ever, but it may be the mob's last hurrah. The FBI begins targeting organized crime with wiretaps and uncovers evidence of skimming operations at several casinos. It is into this world that a young Oscar Goodman arrives from Philadelphia, ready to begin practicing criminal law. Within 3 years, his specialty is wiretap cases.
The people that the government was wiretapping in those days were all gamblers. And I had to learn about gambling in order to defend them. I had to learn what a gambling line was, what the point spreads were, what the phraseology was, what the bottom sheet was. I had to understand how bets were taken, how bets were laid off, all these kind of things, and I became a bit of an expert in it.
In 1966, billionaire Howard Hughes arrives in town too. He rents the entire top floor of the Desert Inn and ends up buying the place from Mo Dalitz and the other owners. Then he continues to buy out casino after casino until Hughes owns more than a quarter of the Strip. Major companies follow suit, and just like that, Las Vegas goes corporate.
All of a sudden, here came corporations with big bottom lines, with deep pockets, big piles of resources to invest, and all of a sudden, there wasn't enough illegal money to be able to play in that kind of game. And so mobsters sold out some of these casinos, and they felt pretty good about it because they were making money hand over fist.
Mob ownership dwindles, but not its influence. It's the 1970s, the era of the movie Casino, portrayed through the characters Nicky Santoro and Sam Ace Rothstein. Rothstein is based on Frank Lefty Rosenthal, who says he came to Las Vegas for the same reason so many others before him did.
Las Vegas was the only safe location, safe meaning legal, where a professional gambler could wager without fear of law enforcement.
Rosenthal finds a job at the Stardust and works his way up the ladder until he controls the operation. He is joined by Chicago mobster Anthony the Ant Spilatro, who is sent to oversee a mob skimming operation. Spilatro is reportedly a mob hitman and reputed to be a sadistic killer.
Just gotta cut it out, I'm warning you now, right?
In one scene in Casino, his character is shown torturing someone by putting their head in a vice.
Don't make me have to do this, please, come on.
Goodman, who appeared in the movie as himself and represented both Rosenthal and Spilatro in real life, says that in person the Ant was always a gentleman.
When he would come to my office, he was as kind and gentle as one could be as far as my staff was concerned. He was always generous with me as far as my fees were concerned. And I represented him in murder cases. I represented him in racketeering cases. I represented him in illegal gambling cases. Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. So as far as I'm concerned, he's not guilty.
Goodman wins every case, but in the end, Spilatro becomes too high profile for the mob. He dies like many others before him, violently and outside Las Vegas. Rosenthal survives an attempt on his own life in 1982, when his car is bombed on Sahara Avenue near the Strip. But his career in Las Vegas ends a few years later in much quieter fashion. He is unable to get a gaming license because of a minor gambling conviction from 20 years earlier in another city.
All of a sudden, what you've got is a situation here where a guy who would be perfectly acceptable in 1950s Las Vegas can't get a license. The world has changed, the rules of the game have changed, and it will never be the same again.
Major corporations are in control of the casinos, and the mob is out of the gaming business here. In 1999, Oscar Goodman gives up his criminal practice to run for mayor and wins with almost 64% of the vote. In 2003, he's re-elected with 86%. Now, the reputed mob lawyer turned mayor is a champion of his city's history. A history that includes the underworld figures who brought glitz and glamour to the barren desert.
I think to the average person, it is glamorous. Visitors from all over, they don't come here to see Mickey Mouse. They come here to get a little bit of the feel about lifting up that rock and finding a little piece of Bugsy.
Bugsy, Moe, Meyer, and many others. Men who